Welcome to another episode of the South African Business Spotlight podcast. And today we have got Ritz Chowthee with us today. So welcome, Ritz.
Thank you for having me, Cornelia. Pleasure.
Before we start off with our whole conversation, is there a powerful statement or something that you would like to share with the audience before we set up for the conversation?
Yes, a saying comes to mind from Mark Cuban, the billionaire Shark Tank investor. He said that in business, you only need to get it right once. And that stuck home for me back in the day because that is so true. You get one business, and if you hit it right with that one, you know what? You never need to work another day in the rest of your life. So that was quite a powerful statement for me.
Wow, yeah, that is quite powerful. So your skill set and what you focus on is basically helping businesses. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Sure. Being in business for over 35 years now, you skin your knees a few times, and in that time, you learn a few lessons. And I can relate to people who have said, you know what, you got to fail a few times before you actually understand success. And it's things that you don't learn in a book because it's a psychology of success that comes out of failure, strangely enough, because it gives you a thick skin, it creates a softer heart because you are more sensitive towards someone else that's going through the same thing because you've gone through it yourself. So, you're more human in your interactions when it comes to running your business because you know how difficult it can get.
Definitely. And we know that, running your own business, especially if it's a small business, can be very challenging. And there's different ways where people can, trip up or fail in a business. What is the most common means of failure in businesses that you see?
I think, the initial, before someone even gets on a business horse, do your due diligence properly. Have you researched the market? Is there a need for what you're offering? Is it covering a big enough pain point? And are people prepared to pay the price that you are asking for what you're offering? It's not something that, you go to a braai and you are great at making muffins and someone tells you, you know what, you should start a business. And three of your relatives tell you the same thing. Next thing, boom, you're dipping into savings, you're finding a place to set up and you're starting this business. Yet you never did due diligence about where you're setting up. Is your pricing right? Can you get your costs down? Is there a big enough market to support and sustain this business, going forward? I think that's the biggest mistake people make these days is that they don't do their research and they just jump in with both legs and they realize a year down the line when they can't cover rent, they are battling to put food on the table. It's living from one credit card to the next, and it becomes a huge issue. Whereas if they did the work in the beginning, that heartache would have been, well, either they would have been on a better wicket or they would not have done the business at all, started it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that you see it every day, and even we see it every day where people come, they've got this nice business idea. They like the business idea, but they never check to see if there is capacity in the market and if, like you said, the price point is the right price point. So that is fundamental. I think most businesses do understand that initial phase of setting up a business is hard, but then down the line it can still fail, correct?
Yes, it absolutely can. And it could be undercapitalization is another big issue because people jump into it thinking, no, it's going to be cool. By month three, I'll be covering my rent and covering my business expenses and my personal expenses. You know what? You need to have about 6 months to a year, 12 months worth of money in the bank to cover you because it doesn't take, it doesn't take 3 months initially to get going just like that. You need to have some runway where you've got some meat there that's going to then sustain you for the lean months, for the down seasons, for, whatever COVID comes around and bad weather. You need to just have some meat in the game there because it can get thin at some points.
Yeah, that's definitely, we were talking about this, that there's a feast and famine in any small business. And you had something very powerful to say about that, which was, as a small business owner, you have to be able to accept that there's these influx and outflux. Maybe you can just expand on that for us.
Feast and famine is inbuilt, especially when someone is a startup with the low capital. They've bootstrapped it. They've gone in and done this thing, and then they have the dips and flows. And then you're going to take a dip, and you're going to have a feast, a famine run, and you need to just be prepared for that. There, it's prepared for the worst and hope for the best kind of scenario. And
Mm.
I've seen it happen. It's not any fault of the business owner. It is macroeconomic factors that are out of his control that sometimes impacts his business, even though he's prepared everything internally from a microeconomic environment. He's got his systems in place, his processes are in place, he's got a good product, etc. And then next thing you have something external that's going to then throw him into a famine run. And then you have your feasting times when things are running well. You've got good customers, you've got money in the bank, you looking at expanding, etc. And you know what, it looks good. And you know what, it's important to have that war chest put away, where you know that you've got something to back you up should you hit and go into another famine run.
Yeah, because I see so many businesses, they expand and they get beautiful offices, and all of a sudden the next thing you know, business has closed down. So that is also one of those points in where a business can fail, and people don't think about it, right? That a business after 10 years can actually fail, or after 20 years, just because they didn't plan.
Absolutely. I mean, the longevity and legacy of a business lies in its foundational, inbuilt fundamentals, if I want to call it that. And that is, a cash flow. Does it have sustainable cash flow? And especially in this day and age, it is not like how business used to be in the past, where a 40-year-old business would be handed over the keys to the son, and he would run it for the next 40 years and hand it over to his son. Now it's changed. It changes every year, every 2 years, even months. With AI coming in, it disrupts everything. So you need to be at the forefront
Mm.
of what's happening in the macro environment and in the micro environment. Classic example is Kodak. They initially, when digital cameras came out, they said, no, it's fine. We're gonna do nothing's gonna replace the film camera. And by the time
Mm.
they decided to pivot into the digital space, it was too late. They had to go into R&D, and they never dug themselves out of that hole, essentially.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And talking about businesses and running businesses, you've had actually quite a lot of experience in running businesses and setting up businesses. Maybe you can just give us some more insight into what you've done before, what you've achieved, and maybe even some failures that you've had.
So I've been in FMCG for like 25 years, and for those that don't know what that is, it's fast moving consumable goods. So it's anything from personal care products to food to etc. So my last stint was the business we started from scratch. It was a hair care product that we had launched, and we had a lot to learn. They tell you we were going up against the likes of Unilever and Marico, multi-billion-dollar businesses in the space, well
Yeah.
established, got massive
Mm.
war chests and marketing, budgets to play with. We
Mm.
were this little small, the business working out of a small office in Morningside, and we eventually built it up to a point where we actually took awards away from them. But it was a long, hard slog to get there. And I tell you, like, one of the reasons is we brought in tropical Jamaican black castor oil. Now, it was a new product to the market. It was not like selling aqueous cream or something that everyone
Yeah.
knew. So when you told
Yeah.
someone Jamaican black castor oil, you had to first educate the customer on what the product was before
Yeah.
you sold to them. And that was a huge challenge. We had to go on this massive roadshow and spend money on, shelf talkers, flyers, on all of that kind of thing, videos. And then we sold, and we built up a loyal client base. And it was not the cheapest in the market, but it was a fantastic product. Because I remember taking it to somebody the one day, and our product was 5 times the price of one of his products on his shelf. The shopkeeper said, it'll never sell. I said, I'm not targeting that market. I'm targeting the
Mm.
market where a lady comes in there with a Range Rover, and she looks at the price point, and then she chooses something that's based on price, and she expects it to work well because she's paying a premium for it.
Mm.
That's my business,
Mm.
and that guy
Mm.
became a very good client. For 10 years he would call me, where's my product, because he was making a good margin, The stuff was selling.
Yeah.
We backed it up with good
Yeah.
marketing. So, it's about
Yeah.
positioning your product was so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also very relevant is the positioning, because everybody, or let's say the standard default is that you have to come in as low as possible in the game. and
Hmm.
and you were just, in your example you were saying, but that's not always the right position for your business. So let's expand a little bit on that, which is unique selling points, right? It's part of that whole product range or
100%.
aspects.
100%. I mean, if you look at, Louis Vuitton, for instance, you'd get bags out there that are good, that could do the same thing as a Louis Vuitton bag, but it's the brand. I mean, it's about
Mm,
associating your brand to an influencer, associating your brand to quality, and it elevates that brand position. But if you look at the margin that Louis Vuitton's making on that bag, it's through the roof. Irrespective
yeah,
of what the economy is doing, that business is still thriving.
yeah,
And the same with all of your
yeah,
premium brands. Why do they do well? They got a massive margin. They've built a brand based on quality, and it represents a certain thing, and they position it in that space. Whereas the guys at the bottom of the barrel are scraping through or closing down because their margins are so bad.
yeah,
And the only differentiator
yeah.
is price, and you should never differentiate your business on price.
Yeah, yeah. But then again, if you're going for the higher end products, of course, you have to, support that with a quality product, right? At the end of the day, you have to kind of like, play that balancing game.
Yes. Otherwise, what would happen is you'd sell to the first customer, they'd never come back again because the bag started to
Yes.
tear or the zip broke or something happened to it, and they'll say, "No, I'm not going to do this anymore. It was a waste of time." Whereas on the other side, you'll get something that's fair quality. It does what it is supposed to do, and it's slightly elevated, but it's got a brand position of something premium. People will come back and buy it. Then you get a winning
Yeah.
product where you got fantastic quality at a price the customer's prepared to pay, and you got a loyal customer for life.
Wow. And that's like the magic thing, right? Is to find
And
that perfect balance.
yes, 100%. I mean, you don't want to be everything to everyone as well. You want to get a niche
Yeah.
and service that niche well, but understand that niche. With data that goes around
Yeah.
these days, it's so easy to now know who your customer is, define that brand persona, and then you
Yeah.
create something that's tailored to that brand persona. That's it. You don't want to be everything to everybody.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, what do you currently offer for businesses?
So currently with Biz Ignite, I don't want to say we are a digital marketing company because it's so noisy out there when it comes to digital marketing. It's hard to differentiate. So we are essentially a revenue generation company. So, we
Hmm.
come in there and we make sure that we tailor your strategies to ensure you get money in the bank. It's not just a nice thing to put up a certain image or to put a video up or to
Mm,
interact with your fans. Is it translating to money in the bank? And we always ask
mm,
ourselves that question when we do a strategy for somebody. So they would come to us and say, listen, I want to do a Facebook pay-per-click marketing campaign. It's very hard for myself and my team to just say, okay, let's do it. What's your budget? And let's get it going. We always go back and say, okay,
mm,
what do you want to achieve?
mm.
Do you have the infrastructure to service an influx of business? Because that could damage your
Yeah.
brand as well.
Mm,
It's all that kind of thing. So it's do you have enough stock? Stuff like that there. So it's interesting how, when you go dig deeper and you add value to a client's business beyond just digital marketing. You understand their
yeah.
fundamentals, you use your business
Mm,
knowledge, and you become a sounding board for them. And from that space, business owners appreciate what we bring to the table because it's not just a cookie
mm.
cutter, siloed approach of digital media.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. That sounds very interesting. So, what type of businesses do you mostly serve?
We see my wife has got a PhD in human genetics. So what we've done is we now pivoted into focusing on medical and health type of businesses because one of
Mm-hmm.
the reasons is you can't make claims on social media for a brand or a product, and it could end up in a
Yeah.
legislative issue because they could take you to court for making false claims. So my wife understands the back end of that, and then she knows how to communicate, to that client base. So I think that is what that that segment appreciates is the knowledge and the depth of the know-how and the type of conversation you could have online without getting into trouble.
Excellent. So,
Yeah.
if there's any businesses out there that would be interested in your services, how can they reach you?
Yes, you can go to biz-ignite.com. You can fill in a form there or reach out to me directly, Ritz at biz-ignite.com. Yeah, we're always happy to help. Even if it is just a 30-minute consult, there's no obligation to
Yeah,
anyone. Because we're so passionate
yeah.
about helping businesses, we're happy just to impart knowledge happily.
And you serve businesses worldwide, is that correct?
100%, yeah. Clients in Sweden, UK, US, South Africa, and now in New Zealand. So that's the beauty of why I chose this business and pivoted away from FMCG is because I don't need to keep stock. It's a low margin business
Yeah,
if you're going into the personal care side and that side.
yeah.
Um, so we decided this year because it gives you the freedom of geography. You could work from anywhere really.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, and then to wrap up our conversation, is there any thought that you would want to leave the viewers with?
I think the other thought, and this I learned a long time ago. It was about how long do we have to live here? Let's look at that. If we live to 80, we live for 960 months. That's not a lot of time. And then you subtract what you lived already. If you live 40 years,
Yeah.
you only got half of that time left. That's 4,000 weeks. And that really put things into context for me, is that not to take things too seriously, just to be lighthearted
Hmm.
about life. We're not going to live forever. And the
Hmm.
time that we do spend here, let it be a joyous and happy experience.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Beautiful. I mean, focus on what your life is, the quality, and just strive to have a good life for yourself.
absolutely.
That is a beautiful one.
Because success to you and me will be different. Success
Yes,
to you might be,
definitely.
having a poiki on a Saturday with your family and your loved ones around you, and that's success for you. And for
Yes.
me, it would be sitting with my fishing rod, and with my friends around me, and we having a good natter and a good
Yeah.
laugh, kind of thing. We put
Yeah.
different values on different experiences in life. It's not about just the cars and the house and the travel. It's about the stuff that's intrinsically giving us joy irrespective of what our bank balance
Yes.
looks like. Yeah,
Yeah. And irrespective of what's happening outside of your life, right? Like in your workspace, living and all everything like you mentioned.
100%. Because that if you let what's inside of you create a fundamental foundation, what happens on the outside doesn't affect that. You know, Otherwise
Exactly.
you're like a cork in a storm. You're just being pushed around. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, the yo-yo up and down as your business goes or as your personal life goes.
100%. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ritz. I really enjoyed our conversation. Um, just quickly remind the people how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, reach out to me on email, ritz at biz-ignite.com. Happy to chat with you guys. We can set up a meeting. I'm available as much as I'm in New Zealand. We can find a common time. Yeah, happy to speak to you.
Excellent. And once again, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for the time, Cornelia.